Good morning, everyone. Today, I will present the legend and origins of rugby. The history of rugby began in 1823 at rugby school in England. According to the famous legend, a 90 years old student named William Webb Ellis picked up the ball during a football match and ran towards the opponent goals instead of kicking it. Although this action was against the rule at that time, it is believed to have inspired the creation of rugby. So today, William Webb Ellis is recognized as the founder of rugby, and his name is remembered through the Webb Ellis Cup, which is awarded to the winner of the Rugby World Cup. In the early 18th, football games in England did not have standard rules, so each school played by its own rules, and the games were often rough and physical. Rugby school became well-known because its version of the game allowed players to catch the ball, tackle the opponent, and run with the ball. As the sport became more popular, there were a need for official rules. In 1845, the first written rule of rugby football were created by a senior student at rugby school. So this rule officially separated rugby from other forms of football, including the game that later became modern soccer. So the first rules also introduced important features of rugby that we still see today, such as the oval-shaped ball, the try, and the head-shaped goal post. So in conclusion, the period from 1823 to the 1840 was very important because it marked the beginning of rugby and laid the foundation for the sport that is now played by millions of people around the world. Next is how rugby arrived in Malaysia. So rugby was introduced to Malaya in the late 19th century by British colonial officer, European planter, and government official. So they brought the sport from the England and started playing it in a major town such as Penang, Ipoh, and Kuala Lumpur. So the earlier recorded rugby match in Malaya took place in 1892. So at first, rugby was mainly played by British people and a small group of local elites. However, over time, the sport became more popular and attracted the interest of local communities. So in 1921, the Malayan Rugby Union, or MRU, was established to organize and standardize rugby club across Malaya. So this was an important step because it created a proper structure for the development of rugby in this country. A year later, in 1922, the British battleship HMS Malaya donated a silver trophy which became known as the HMS Malaya Cup. After Malaysia gained the independence, it was renamed the Agong Cup. So this competition became one of the country's most important rugby tournament and helped increase the popularity of rugby. So rugby also spread to local school, especially Malay College Kuala Kangsar, or we call it MCKK, where many young Malaysian players began learning the sport. So this helped develop a local rugby talent and made rugby accessible to more people. So in conclusion, the period from the 1890 to the 1930 was an important stage in Malaysian rugby history because it laid the foundation for the growth and development of rugby in Malaysia. Next, I will explain the rise of MSRUR and local rugby governance. During the 1913, rugby in Malaya began to change. More local and Asian players joined the sport, which had previously been dominated by British players. As rugby became more popular, many local teams, including the All Blue, were formed to compete in local tournaments. As the number of competitions increased, there was a greater need for proper management and fair rules. To meet this need, the Malayan State Rugby Union Referees, or MSRUR, was established in 1932. The main role of MSRUR was to train, qualify, and manage local rugby referees. Before this, most matches were controlled by British officials. With the establishment of MSRUR, Malaya was able to produce its own skilled referees to manage a local competition. MSRUR also helped improve the quality of rugby by introducing a standard rules, a fair decision, and better match control. So this reduced a conflict during games and made competition more professional. So in conclusion, the establishment of MSRUR was an important milestone because it strengthened rugby governance, developed a local official, and prepared a Malaya to manage the sport independently. Next, I will explain the development of rugby in Malaysia's public sector. The growth of rugby in Malaysia was not only supported by clubs and national competition, but also by government organizations. One of the most important organizations was Majlis Kebajikan dan Sukan Anggota-Anggota Kerajaan Malaysia, or we call it as MAKSA. In 1919, MAKSA published the official condition for rugby competition. This document explained the rule, match management, and discipline for rugby competition among government employees. It also followed the rules of the Rugby Football Board and was recognized by the Malaysian Rugby Union, or MRU. According to this rule, a match was played in two halves of 13 minutes, while the final match lasts 35 minutes per half. If the final ended in a draw, a 5-minute sudden death playoff was played. If there was still no winner, the match was decided by penalty kicks. Each team also needed at least 12 players to start the match. So the document also focused on discipline and fair play. For example, players who broke the rules could be sent to the sin bin for 10 minutes and 2 substitutions were allowed during a match. In conclusion, this document shows that rugby in Malaysia's public sector was well organized and played an important role in promoting a disciplined, fair competition and the development of rugby in this country. Finally, I will explain the modern era and corporate sponsorship in Malaysian rugby. In the modern era, rugby in Malaysia became a more organized and received a strong support from both private companies and the government. This support helped the sport grow and become more popular across the country. Many well-known companies sponsor a major rugby tournament. For example, Milo supported the under 12 and under 15 national championship, while New Straits Times, or NST, sponsored the NST Charity Shield. And other sponsors included TechWare, which donated 20,000 ringgit to the under 20 national championship, and Jeans, which contribute 10,000 ringgit to prestigious Agong Cup. Besides corporate sponsorship, the National Sports Council, or MSN, also provided a yearly funding to prepare the national rugby team for international competition and training. To strengthen rugby development, the Rugby Union also received annual membership fees and worked to attract a more private funding. The financial support also helped introduce grassroots programs such as the Tunas and Bakat program to encourage young players under the age of 15 to take part in rugby and develop their talents. In conclusion, corporate sponsorship and government funding play an important role in improving rugby management, support young athletes, and ensuring the long-term development of rugby in Malaysia.
The growth of rugby in Malaysia has been driven by strong national governance and continuous support from the Malaysian Rugby Union, or MRU. Throughout the 1970s to the 1990s, MRU organized various competitions and sporting events that helped develop talented players and promote rugby across the country. These tournaments provide players with valuable opportunities to improve their skills, build confidence, and gain competitive experience while proudly representing Malaysia. Besides local competitions, MRU also prepared players for international tournaments, allowing them to compete against stronger teams and raise the standard of Malaysian rugby. Friendly match with visiting international team also play an important role. They allow local players to learn new playing style, improve their tactical knowledge and gain international experience. At the same time, open and invitational tournaments brought together school, club and rugby communities, helping to expand the sport throughout Malaysia. A major milestone came in 1998 when Kuala Lumpur hosted the SPI Commonwealth Games. This was a historic moment as rugby received international attention and Malaysia successfully proved its ability to host a world-class sporting event. The games also increased public awareness and inspired greater interest in rugby nationwide. Overall, these competitions and events strengthen Malaysia's rugby development by identifying new talent, improving the national team, and building a strong sporting legacy that continues to inspire future generations. A Sabah significant achievement in Sabah rugby history was the victory in the Under-15 National Rugby Championship Piala Datuk Sulaiman. Sabah became the first state to win this national title, creating a historic moment for the development of rugby in the state. The tournament was held in Ipoh and featured 24 teams from across Malaysia, making it one of the most competitive school rugby events in the country. Sabah was represented by 10 students from SMJK La Saleh, Kota Kinabalu, who showed excellent discipline, teamwork and determination throughout the competition. Although they had fewer players compared to other teams, they proved that success does not depend on numbers, but on quality, training, commitment, and strong teamwork. This achievement also showed the growing potential of rugby talent in Sabah. According to the president of Sabah Rugby Union, Mr. Vincent Shah, this success was the result of continuous rugby development at the school level. The support from schools, parents, sport organization, and the education department has played an important role in nurturing young rugby players. With proper training, experienced coaching, and more competitive opportunities, Sabah continues to develop future rugby talents. This historic victory has inspired more students to participate in rugby and marks a new chapter for the growth of the sport in Sabah. The development of rugby in Malaysia has progressed from school-level participation to international exposure. This pathway shows how systematic approach in player development helps nurture young athletes through organized competition, skill development, and advanced training opportunities. Rugby is first introduced at the school level through programs organized by the state and national school sport council. Young players from different age groups such as under 12, under 15 and under 18 are given opportunities to develop their skill through competitions. At the early stage, touch rugby is often introduced as a safer version of the game, helping young athletes learn basic skills such as passing, movement, coordination, teamwork, and spatial awareness. As a player grows in experience and ability, they progress to higher level of competition through school, state, and national development programs. Talented athletes are selected to represent Malaysia in regional and international tournaments where they are gain exposure to stronger competition and improve their technical and tactical abilities. International training exposure also plays an important role in developing world-class players. Some athletes receive opportunities to train in countries with strong rugby backgrounds, such as New Zealand, Australia, South Africa, France, and England. Through this experience, players learn professional training methods and gain a better understanding of international rugby standards. Overall, this development pathway ensures that Malaysian rugby players are continuously nurtured from grassroots level to international arenas, creating stronger and more competitive athletes for the future. The Harris Sheet Rugby Tournament was one of the school-level rugby competition that contributed to the growth of rugby in Sabah during the 1980s. The tournament provides young players with opportunities to develop their skills, gain competitive experience, and build important values such as discipline, teamwork, leadership, and sportsmanship. This competition also played an important role in identifying young rugby talents who could progress to higher levels, including district, state, and national competitions. Through regular participation in organized tournaments, players were able to improve their performance and gain confidence in the sport. The involvement and support from the state government also showed the importance of rugby development among young athletes. The presence of the Sabah Minister of Culture, Youth and Sports representing the Young di-Pertua Negeri Sabah during the final match highlighted the recognition given to youth sport development. The prize-giving ceremony was not only a celebration of the winners but also an appreciation for the effort and commitment shown by all players. It encouraged values such as teamwork, discipline, and sportsmanship while motivating more young athletes to continue participating in rugby. Overall, the Harris Shield Rugby tournaments represent the collaboration between schools, sport organizations, and the government in strengthening rugby development in Sabah and supporting the future growth of the sports in Malaysia. The Dato' Harris Cup Rugby 15-a-side championship held in Kota Kinabalu on 12 September 1981 was one of the important events that reflected the early development of rugby in Sabah. During this period, inter-residency tournaments became an important platform to encourage youth participation and strengthen team sport at the state level. The organization of local rugby tournaments helped develop young talent while promoting important values such as discipline, teamwork, and sportsmanship. These competitions also increase interest in rugby and provide opportunities for players to gain experience in a structured environment. The continuous support from the state, sport institutions, and official sporting events played an important role in the growth of rugby in Sabah. Beyond competitions, rugby also became a platform for community development by bringing people together and creating a stronger sporting culture. The handing over of the Sabah state flag to the rugby team represented trust, responsibility, and pride in representing the state. This symbolic ceremony showed the support from state leadership and highlighted the important relationship between government support and sport developments. Overall, the Dato' Harris Cup reflects an important chapter in Sabah's rugby history. It demonstrates how sport can unite communities, develop young athletes, and build a strong identity and pride for the state.
Next, I will be presenting on the field as the main facility in rugby sport management. Fundamentally, sport infrastructure is defined as the primary physical and organizational structure required to facilitate sport participation, athlete training, and competition management. For rugby, a complete and modern infrastructure is highly critical because rugby involves extreme physical contact. Standard and high quality facility directly affect the quality of player, optimize the performance, and most importantly, guarantee athlete safety. Looking back at this story, the rugby union always faced problems in obtaining pitches specifically for rugby. Before our country had modern stadium or sport complex, most rugby have replayed at the Royal Selangor Club, now known as Dataran Merdeka, and the traditional pitch at the Victoria Institution. These earlier pitches played a vital role in introducing and expanding the sport of rugby within the local community. In the post-independence era, the construction of Stadium Merdeka and the National Stadium was a great success in obtaining state-owned sport facility, allowing rugby to introduce and play more widely. This transition from a traditional club field to an open stadium can be clearly seen through its geographical position. As shown as shown in Figure 12, which is extracted from the Kuala Lumpur 98 Kamal Waycaf venue operation manuals. Stadium Merdeka is located right next to the Victoria Institution. This historical record serves as crucial evidence in our archive, showing the evolution of our national rugby facility. Now let's look at the Stadium Merdeka general plan. Stadium Merdeka has an oval shape with a big rectangular pitch in the middle. Even though it is a multi-purpose stadium, the pitch is big enough for standard rugby match. Because the stadium is fenced, match can be held safely in a controlled area. This is much better than the open fields used in the past. If you look at Figure 13, you can see the stadium plan. The seating area is well organized, featuring the grandstand and the seven stand. To keep everyone safe, spectators enter through specific gates from Gate 2 to Gate 8. There is also a special zone for the scoreboard, which connects to the tournament control center to manage the match. Next, Figure 14 shows the plan for the main building of pavilion. It has important room for the match, such as G2 for referees, G3 for the medical room, G23 for the tournament doctor, and G6 for doping control. The stadium also has public area like ticket counter, food kiosk, and shop kiosk. There is even a material management store to keep all sport equipment safe. Both Figure 13 and Figure 14 come from the 1998 Commonwealth Games Manual. It is a very important historical record in our archive. Moving on to the next page, let's talk about the Stadium Nasional Bukit Jalil. As sport management became more professional and advanced, Malaysia went through a big transformation by putting the Bukit Jalil National Sport Complex. This complex was built to overcome the physical limitation of older open stadium from the early independence era. With this modern facility, Malaysia can successfully host world-class sport championship. As you can see in Figure 15, the stadium was built using the latest engineering and facility management technology. This is perfect for supporting high-intensity and extreme sport like rugby. One major upgrade is the efficient underground drainage system. The stadium uses a sophisticated subsurface drainage system that clears away rainwater very quickly. This stops the pitch from becoming muddy or flooded during heavy rain. Another great feature is the high bay floodlight system. The lighting infrastructure is designed to high lux specification. This glare-free lighting is excellent for television broadcast and it ensures that referees, player, and spectator can see everything clearly at night. Lastly, the stadium provides a spacious and comfortable locker room for athletes. It offers a large space for physical, mental, and technical preparation. This modern locker room is fully equipped with bathroom facility, medical treatment areas, and a spacious dressing room where coach and player can discuss match tactics. Next, let's move on to the equipment section, focusing on jersey and balls. In rugby administration, managing game equipment is highly controlled. Strict rules and regulations are applied to ensure smooth competition and maintain tournament integrity and provide fairness to all competing teams. The two most important equipment items to manage are team jersey and rugby balls. As we can see in Figure 16, team clothing is strictly monitored. Under local regulation, every team must register and provide at least 2 sets of jerseys with different colors and clear player numbers. Having 2 different colors prevent jersey clashes. According to the rules, the visiting team or Team B must change their jersey if a clash happens. This allows referees and officials to easily distinguish players during close combat phase like rocks and ball. Now looking at Figure 17 about rugby balls. The organizing committee is responsible for providing enough match ball throughout the tournament. The mandatory balls used are the Gilbert brand, which is the world standard rugby ball manufacturer. The balls must be blue or white. This standard specification ensures optimal ball visibility on the field, a fair kicking experience, and high grip quality for both teams. Finally, let's look at the last section, which is technical and competition refereeing. According to official reports, standard rugby match and training facility must have complete physical equipment. Each piece of equipment has a specific function to support the athletes and ensure the match runs smoothly. As mentioned in Figure 18, the key training equipment includes the scrum edge measure, which is a heavy mechanical tool used to train frontline players by simulating heavy resistance. This builds physical strength and help players practice their pushing technique safely. Next, we have the tackling bag and tackling shape. These tools are made of dense bonds to absorb extreme physical impact and train correct tackling techniques. Additionally, post-protected are thick safety spots wrapped around the hair-shaped iron cones, posed to protect running players from injuries. Lastly, marking cones are brightly colored cones arranged along the fade line to mark critical game zones like the in-course area. This helps the referee easily see whether the ball is out or in. Moving to Figure 19, we look at human capital and match administration. Managing match officials is very important. The competition organizing committee is responsible for selecting and appointing a certified line of referees and technical officials for the entire match schedule. The integrity of any rugby match depends heavily on the referee firmness and ability to control the complex laws of the game.
Malaysia has produced many talented rugby athletes who have proudly represented the country in regional and international competitions. Their achievements are the result of years of hard work, discipline, and continuous training. Becoming a national rugby player requires strong commitment, physical fitness, and the determination to improve every day. These athletes are not only competing for personal success but also representing Malaysia on the international stage. Their performances inspire young rugby players to work hard and believe that they can achieve the century. They also help increase public interest in rugby and encourage more people to participate in the sport. The success of these national athletes would not be possible without the support of experienced coaches, structured training programs, and sports organizations such as the Malaysia Rugby Union. Together, these factors help athletes reach their full potential and continue improving their performance. Overall, Malaysian national rugby athletes play an important role in developing the sport and inspiring the next generation of rugby players. The future of Malaysian rugby depends on the development of young athletes. To produce successful players, they need proper training, quality coaching, and regular opportunities to compete. Athlete development is a long-term process that requires commitment from both the players and the people who support them. Young rugby players are encouraged to improve not only their technical skills but also their physical fitness, teamwork, communication, and mental strength. These qualities help them perform better during training sessions and competitive matches. With the right guidance, they can develop into confident and well-rounded athletes. In addition, sports organizations, schools, rugby clubs, and coaches all play an important role in preparing the next generation of rugby players. Their continuous support creates a positive environment where athletes can learn and grow. By investing in young talent today, Malaysia is building a stronger future for rugby and increasing its chances of success at the international level. Coaching excellence is one of the most important factors in developing successful rugby athletes.
Coaches are responsible for teaching players the technical skills, tactical knowledge, and game strategies needed to perform well during competitions. They also help athletes improve through regular training and constructive feedback. Besides improving performance on the field, coaches also focus on building important values such as discipline, confidence, teamwork, leadership, and respect. These qualities help athletes become better players and responsible individuals both in sports and in everyday life. To achieve their goals. This is why excellent coaching is essential for producing talented rugby players and ensuring the long-term success of Malaysian rugby. Muhammad Nazrin Fitri Nasruddin is recognized as one of Malaysia's promising rugby players. His journey reflects the importance of dedication, hard work, and continuous improvement in achieving success. From a young age, he trained consistently and developed his rugby skills through regular competitions and structured coaching. His commitment and outstanding performances eventually earned him the opportunity to represent Malaysia at the international level. This achievement shows that success is not achieved overnight but requires patience, determination, and strong support from coaches, teammates, and sports organizations. Nazrin's success has inspired many young rugby players who dream of representing the country one day. His journey proved that with the right attitude, proper training, and continuous effort, young athletes can achieve their goals. He serves as a great example of how athlete development can produce future stars of Malaysian rugby. Building successful rugby athletes begins with creating a strong foundation from an early stage. This includes proper coaching, physical conditioning, technical skill development, and mental preparation. These elements are important because they help athletes improve consistently throughout their sporting journey. Besides training, athletes also need support from their families, coaches, schools, and sports organizations. This support encourages them to stay motivated, overcome challenges, and continue working towards their goals. Regular competitions also provide valuable experience that helps players improve their confidence and decision making during matches. By investing in athlete development today, Malaysia can continue producing talented rugby players who are capable of competing at the highest level. A strong foundation will not only improve individual performance but also contribute to the long-term success and growth of Malaysian rugby in the future.